This week, the United Pentecostal Church International will host its annual General Conference in Orlando, Florida. What is General Conference and why is it important? UPCI General Superintendent Dr. David K. Bernard explains in this week's episode of Apostolic Life in the 21st Century. Welcome to Apostolic Life in the 21st Century, a podcast dedicated to helping modern-day believers live out the teachings of the first century church. This podcast is part of the teaching ministry of Dr. David K. Bernard. Dr. Bernard has dedicated his life to studying the Bible and helping believers apply its message to their daily lives. Thank you for joining us for this episode. Today's episode is a little different than most because starting tomorrow, the United Pentecostal Church will be hosting its annual General Conference in Orlando, Florida. You are scheduled to preach on Thursday evening. And by the way, I want to note that service and all of the other services for General Conference will be streamed live on the United Pentecostal Church's Facebook page and our YouTube channel. So we encourage our audience to make sure that they're tuned in. Those services will start every night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time and then at noon Eastern Time on Thursday and Friday. So we hope people will make it a point to tune into those. We're expecting a really great turnout here this week in Orlando. And in fact, we think this may be one of the best attended general conferences that we've had in a while. But really, it's going to be a small fraction of our total North American constituency. Many of our constituents who are listening to this may not really know anything about General Conference or even realize that we had an annual General Conference. So first of all, I'd just like you to explain what is General Conference and why is it important?
The General Conference of the United Pentecostal Church International is our premier event of the whole year. You know, it's interesting, many years ago, we had a lot of people, both ministers and saints, members, would take an annual family vacation, travel to General Conference and spend the week there. But culture has changed, families have changed, you have many times husband and wife are both working full-time jobs. They have limited vacation time, and the time they do have, they want to make sure to set it aside for some family event, rest. And while conference is a great family event, if you go to all the sessions, you're not going to be resting a whole lot. I guess you can do a combination of both. So my point is culture has changed. The dynamics have changed. And of course, our organization has grown much bigger. So there are many people in far-flung areas and they may have never been to General Conference, even heard of General Conference. So here's what I would say. If you can only go to one special event, General Conference is that one special event. Now, it's for preachers, but it's not just for preachers. It's for every member of the UPCI. Every local saint in a church that's a United Pentecostal Church is encouraged to attend. So for ministers, every credentialed minister is entitled to vote. So we really strongly urge ministers to come because we'll have election of officials, we'll have resolutions, maybe sometimes dealing with policy. And so we want the rank and file ministers to be the ones who make those decisions. So it's really highly recommended for ministers to come and if possible for their church to give them the travel money to come. But aside from that, every night will be inspirational and day services as well. We will feature certain services, feature global missions, North American missions, children's ministry, youth ministry. And when the general superintendent preaches, I seek to have a message for the church at large. So these services of great music, special testimonies of what God is doing around the world, special programs or new initiatives, and then the preaching is inspirational for everyone. So really everyone will benefit. But then in the day, we have seminars all day long, not only for preachers, but for lay leaders and volunteers. And so you've got something for everybody. Anybody who's active in the church in any capacity will find many seminars. There are special ladies' meetings. So it really is, if you could only go to one conference, it has a little bit of everything. So it has the inspiration, it has the training, it has the information that you won't get anywhere else. It has an exhibit area with booths that represent all the major ministries of the UPCI, all the endorsed ministries of the UPCI, such as Tupelo Children's Mansion or the Center for Apostolic Counseling. You get information about all of those projects, Bible colleges, Urshan College. And then even we do rent to businesses, so Pentecostal businesses or businesses that cater to our needs. Of course, the publishing house with books and other resources, but you'll have modest clothing outlets. You'll have a variety of ministry resources. And so all in all, it has the total package from inspiration to training to resources, and it helps you get a picture of the United Pentecostal Church International. So there are many other great meetings for ministers. Each district typically has a camp meeting and or conference. And so those are also all great, serve their own purpose. But there's no other meeting that really shows you the full scope of our international work, of what we're doing in 233 nations and territories, over 42,000 congregations, including our preaching points and daughter works here in the U.S. and Canada. So we do have delegates from around the world, but the main focus is the home base, which is the U.S. and Canada. So it's the ministers from that home base that are voting at the business meeting. We have over 11,000 credentialed ministers in the U.S. and Canada. So this is the only meeting that gives you that full scope. So if you find yourself close by, or even if you set aside in the calendar and come for a few days, if not the whole week, then you will be blessed and you will enjoy it. You'll be inspired. You'll be encouraged. And I hope and believe that you'll hear a word from the Lord.
Now, for most people, since General Conference starts tomorrow, it might be a little late to make it to Orlando this year, but looking ahead to 2023, we're going to have General Conference in Indianapolis. Can you give us a little bit maybe of a preview, a pitch? Why should someone make plans now to be there next year?
Well, now's the good time to plan. And Indianapolis is one of the best locations for convenience. Everybody loves to go there because you've got everything right there downtown, good restaurants and convenient location. Of course, many members within driving distance. So it becomes one of the greatest events as far as people being able to attend. And then looking beyond that, Long Beach, California, that should be a very interesting and beautiful venue. So I think it's a combination of the wonderful event itself and pleasant location. The two combined can help you have a good time of vacation if you need it, and also inspiration. So yes, now's the time to plan for next year and beyond.
Of course, we're looking forward to this week in Orlando. It's certainly a beautiful city, and know people are going to have a great time here at General Conference this week. To learn more about General Conference, we encourage folks to go to upcigc.net. They can also find a list of all the upcoming conference dates and locations. And then one more time, I'd like just people to know you can watch this week's services at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on the UPCI's Facebook page and our YouTube channel. So you'll want to tune in and make sure that you're watching during those times. It's going to be a great week, and we're looking forward to what God's going to do this week. Thank you for listening to this episode of Apostolic Life in the 21st Century. If you enjoy this podcast, please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. We also appreciate it when you share Apostolic Life in the 21st Century with a friend or family member. And make plans to join us again next time as we look at how the Bible applies to everyday life.